Thank you, mate. 12:39, very nearly 12:40. I'll go to Stephen Maidstone because he's been on hold for hours. He's probably forgotten why he rang in, probably thinks I'm the gas board. Steve, what would you like to put on the list of Boris Johnson's misdemeanours?
Hiya, James. Before I launch into that one, a very quick one. I read that Jack Monroe article in The Guardian recently, and she absolutely rocks.
Yeah, they're the best. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Proud to call her a friend, actually, as it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, James, I don't know if anyone's phoned in since, because I was working with some patients, whatever, but look, essentially, for me, the answer to the question about what Johnson's done worse than anything else, it's got to come down to people losing their lives. I mean, nothing's going to top that. So ultimately, for me, it would be his initial response to the pandemic. There's lots and lots of different stages of that. I mean, you could take it as, look at what he did right at the very beginning, or you could look at
He skipped 5 Cobra meetings. He went into lockdown 2 weeks late. He boasted about shaking hands with infected COVID patients.
That's it, yeah. There's so many different bits in there. The 2020 Christmas is on, Christmas is off.
Yeah.
Look, it's ultimately... We're talking about people that have lost their lives and didn't need to. We're not talking about hundreds. We're not talking about thousands. We're talking about tens of thousands.
Yeah.
There can't be anything worse than that. He put business over public health policy. Simple as that.
I think you're right. And well, even if it was business, I don't even know if it was that cynical or that clear-cut, that binary. I just think he thought that he could create what he wanted to be true as opposed to what was actually true. So there's a list of 44 that's gone viral, which all speak to the death toll, which currently stands at 154,356. So starting with misses the first 5 Cobra meetings, largely ignores the Cygnus pandemic study from 2016, treated the pandemic as if it was influenza, didn't ban flights from China, sent COVID-positive people from hospitals into care homes, boasted about shaking hands with everyone in hospital, ignored the WHO's test recommendation.
19 million passenger movements to UK airports before they were finally closed down.
Tried herd immunity as a strategy at the beginning, didn't go into lock 2 weeks late, abandoned community testing, slow to test care workers in care homes, allowed mass gatherings at Cheltenham and the Atletico Madrid match in Liverpool.
James, here's the thing, hang on, he's not the organ grinder, okay?
Is he not?
Johnson to me has never been the organ grinder, he's the monkey.
Go on.
He's lots of people's monkey.
Who's the organ grinder then?
Well, the organ grinders are people like the ERG, which...
Oh, I see what you mean. You mean he dances to the tune that they demand?
He dances to voters' tunes, he dances to the backbench tunes.
He does whatever's best for him, but what is in the very, very short term best for him is not decided by him. That's a very good point that you make. You mentioned you were with patients. Are you in the NHS?
No, not NHS. No. I would have liked to have been in the NHS, but of course Andrew Lansley sort of put pay to that just before I graduated from university. I'm a podiatrist and I'm doing home visits.
Okay. Well, you've got the big one on the list, and it is, I mean, in many ways remarkable that we can get up to 17 or 16 on the list of Boris Johnson's offences before we get to the 154,356 dead people, of whom we'll never know how many would still be alive if he'd had a little bit more clarity and leadership at the start.
But the thing is, James, I mean, I'm dead serious about this. Yeah. If he goes to a vote of no confidence, do I have the confidence that at least half the Tory MPs won't back him? No, I don't.
And we're back to the organ grinder monkey dichotomy, aren't we, there, really? Thank you, Steve. It's incredible, it really is. I could go on with that list, Lack of PPE in care homes, lack of ventilators in hospitals, awarding PPE contracts to VIP lanes, including much that ended up being unusable, lack of coordination between England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. The Nightingale hospitals, I don't know that they are quite the disaster people portray them as. They were there if we needed them, and the fact that we turned out not to need them doesn't necessarily mean that it was a PR exercise. Of course, the question of who would have staffed them doesn't help. my attempt to diffuse that one. Eat out to help out, not making use of masks mandatory, not realising that asymptomatic transmission was a factor, failing to learn from Italy at the beginning, not closing airports in time, not testing at airports, weak quarantine requirements for UK arrivals, letting Cummings get away with the Barnard Castle fiasco, the various failures of the test and trace system, including especially perhaps the app, contracting it out to other private sector companies with no prior experience in their failure to implement backward trade. I'm not going to go on because we've got a lot to get through. I'm going to squeeze in Laz in Liverpool for what will probably be the last, for today, addition to the list of Boris.